Good afternoon. Okay, welcome to our panel discussion on how to digital transformation can serve as a cornerstone for digital transformation. So in business of all size, various sectors, as you mentioned, here are the panelists from finance, health, agriculture, and I'm leading from academia and research. So as we delve into this discussion, we'll explore how digital strategy can be effectively implemented to foster growth, innovation, and competitive advantage, both nationally and internationally. So today, we have here a wonderful panelist, a great panelist from different sectors to share their insights, experience, and our goal is going to dissect the outcome and opportunities provided by the ICT, understand the different challenges, and discuss the emerging trends and technologies that are shaping the futures of ICT. And we also aim to offer some policy recommendations for policymakers in the audience. So I would like to invite each of the panelists to introduce themselves. Please tell us your role, your organization, and briefly how your sector interacting with digital transformation. I'll start with El Shaddai. Okay.
Thank you, Elfelious. My name is El Shaddai Nagash, and I head the corporate affairs practice at KEMMCOM. KEMMCOM is a public policy-focused consulting company based here in Addis Ababa with a presence in about 3 African countries. With regards to digital transformation, our company interacts and consults with clients in the private and public sector to enable better reputations to emerge as a result of digital transformation and other changes that occur in the marketplace. For public sector, that means better citizen services. For private sector, that means very satisfied customers and reputation enhanced through the process.
Thank you. My name is Elfagid, Business Development Director at Mastercard. I look after Ethiopia, Somalia, and Sudan. I joined Mastercard some 4.5 years before. Mastercard is a global technology company. It was established some 58 years ago as a payment network company. But in the last 20 years, it has transformed itself to a technology company. Currently, we're providing multiple technologies. We have over 2,000 technologies that we are providing to the banks, FIs, or any other ecosystem players within the financial technology space. Currently in Ethiopia, we have been working in Ethiopia for the last 17, 18 years, and we are collaborating with the ecosystem players like financial institutions, governments, telcos, and fintechs to drive the financial transformation agenda of the country. So we are, in this regard, we are actually working with the ecosystem players to bring to bring the required support from Mastercard side, leveraging our global experience in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Binyam Alemu. I am the founder and the CEO of Blue Health Ethiopia. It's a medical consultancy company which is formed by medical doctors and an experienced computer engineer to work on different problems regarding in the health sector. So we are developing different types of solutions for the health sector in Ethiopia, and we are currently working closely with the Minister of Health in regarding to the digital roadmaps and different solutions regarding to the health sectors. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Nabil. I'm the project manager for Awakilo. Awakilo is a digital extension service for coffee farmers in Ethiopia. And this was a collaboration between CropFortis UK and our team here in Ethiopia. And our Kilo is an extension service which is available in four languages and 3 mediums. We're looking at web, app, and a Telegram bot. And our main focus was to look at the agroforestry regions in Ethiopia. We were looking at empowering farmers in these areas and giving them access to best practices so that they can improve their livelihoods. And we are currently adapting this solution in Swahili to launch in Uganda and Kenya in the 3rd quarter of this year. Thank you.
Okay. Can you, each of you, share the digital transformation has impacted your sector? And maybe please provide some specific use cases or example from your organization that highlights the significance of change or success. Maybe this time I can start with Elfagid.
Thank you so much. Mastercard have been pivotal in driving digital transformation in this country. As I tried to mention earlier, we have been working closely with stakeholders in Ethiopia, especially financial institutions, fintechs, to drive the digital transformation agenda of the country. So far, I can mention some of the examples that we have worked so far. We have implemented in the market. To mention some, we always see gaps, right? With the banks, to drive financial inclusion or to onboard appropriate technology for digital transformation. In this regard, we have been working, especially in the last 3-4 years, to deploy various technologies which are appropriate, to transform the banks to the digital space. In this regard, I can mention, we have deployed our MEP, it's called Mastercard Processing Platform, which enables the banks, especially financial institutions, to issue both virtual as well as plastic cards, right? So Mastercard has own processing platform, so they do the heavy lifting from our side, and what the banks need to do is to print the plastic cards. So far, we have implemented such kind of solutions to some of the banks in Ethiopia, and needless to mention some of the names. Apart from that, we have been working actively, especially in the e-commerce space. I think the challenge in Ethiopia is deploying the appropriate secured or robust e-commerce platform. In this regard, we are partnering with financial institutions in the market. We have deployed our gateways for e-commerce business with 6 banks in the market. So banks are leveraging this e-commerce platform for their to drive their e-commerce business. That's one area that I can mention. Apart from this, we are also working on the remittance space because remittance is not included right in the market. So our digital remittance solutions allows banks to directly transfer funds from sender's card directly to mobile accounts or bank accounts or cash pickups through digital remittance. In this regard, we have called a solution called Mastercard Sends. We have implemented Mastercard Sends with various institutions, financial institutions in Ethiopia. This is one area that I would like to touch on. The other area is maybe in the agriculture sector. We have a solution called Community Pass. Community Pass is a marketplace that allows farmers to sell their products directly without involving a third party. In this regard, I can mention Farm Pass, which we have implemented so far with the Cooperative Bank of Oromia, and we are also working with 2 or 3 other key players in the market, right, to implement Farm Pass to the market. There are a lot of products that I can mention as part of delivering the right appropriate technology to bring financial inclusion and drive to drive the digital transformation in Ethiopia. Thank you.
So in Ethiopia, the existing extension service heavily relies on farmer training centers, FTCs, and to date, there's about 12,500 FTCs in Ethiopia. And the major challenge that comes with this is reach and accessibility. farmers are unable to access these centers because of limitation of personnel, limitation of resources, and that's where we come in. As a digital extension service, you're able to access the masses, and with the convenience of the farmer in mind, we've developed a solution which is available both on web and app for those who have smartphone access. But for those who don't and struggle with digital literacy, we have a call center, and we're in the development stages of a USSD line. So we're aiming to basically not replace the existing FTC, but augment it.
Would you like to?
Yes.
Okay.
The digital transformation, especially in the health sector, has revolutionized the patient care, especially on the data, empowering knowledge, and the decision-making ability in the patient side. So there are different ways that the digital transformation helped the patient side. So one of the thing is the telemedicine. So the telemedicine, now people are seeking healthcare with the help of their phone, and there are also different companies here in Ethiopia who have been working on this technology. And the other is the electronic health record, or the EMR. So to this date, the Ministry of Health is working rigorously with the help of the USAID and some different companies to marginalize the data, the patient data. And also there are different types of wearable devices in the health sectors. I think most of you have smartwatch and things like that, that will help the patient and the general population to track their health records. And currently we are using the AI, artificial intelligence, for the diagnostics and things like that. So that revolutionized the healthcare sector. And in our company, when we start our company, it's because of a problem that we noticed in the community. So our community has low knowledge regarding to the first aid. So we came up with a solution, a digital solution that helps our community to have these basic life-saving skills on first aids on their mobile application. So it helped many people to give an effective first aid at the site. So it's really helped the digital transformation, helped the health sector in different ways. Thank you.
On our side, I think one of the benefits of working in the consulting industry is you get to deal with clients across different sectors. And we've already covered what happens in the financial sector, health, and agriculture. Maybe I would like to offer a more sector agnostic view of what happens when digital transformation is done correctly. So the first is excellence in citizen or customer services. This essentially means that government is able to meet the basic obligations to its citizens by providing the services that they want at the time that they want and when they want it. This is primarily, when done right, is achieved through the reduction of execution time and the uptake of service delivery time. This increases the intimacy between citizens and their government. This increases the intimacy between customers and businesses. It contributes towards better reputations for both governments and the private sector. The second is enhanced visibility about the work of progress that is achieved through the digital service and digital transformation of processes. You have better uptake in utilization of operations, and you have precision, which you didn't have in a manual system. So digital transformation fulfills that obligation of knowing where you are in a certain process, how far off you're going to be before you complete it, and when you're most likely to complete it. That level of visibility and transparency is very empowering for large service providers. And that empowerment, if used correctly, contributes to the overall improvement of services. The third is going from a disruptive, unpredictable service environment to a more predictable service environment where your decision-making is empowered through quantifiable data. That is a game changer for digital transformation. And when that is done right, then levels of accountability, both within organizations and with expectation of customers, tend to increase. Various studies that have happened here in Ethiopia and across different African countries really indicate that data-driven decision-making does improve these processes. And finally, we talked about predictability coming from data. We have planning predictability. So planning predictability is achieved for growth plans, but also, unfortunately, when times where you have to downscale processes and services, you also plan for downturns so that you, as an organization, are more resilient going forward.
Okay, thank you. Before moving to scaling strategies, actually something came to my mind that digital transformation without human human resource might not be a great things to go on. So in terms of human resource, human capital, actually universities, especially various universities, educate, for example, in current technology, securities, AI technologies and others. So what is the impact in the industry in terms of human resource? Maybe El Shaddai.
The conversation around human resource, especially in terms of digital transformation, tends to begin with a conversation around abilities to train fresh graduates to deploy them to current roles. What is often missed in this very big picture is the change environment that happens through digital transformation and the type of upskilling requirements or reskilling requirements that digital transformation necessitates in a given economy. And what that does is, in effect, it turns every graduate, whether you have a master's or an undergraduate degree, into students for life. So the question now becomes is, how do academia move from a conversation of where their job essentially ends when graduating a student to a conversation where they plug into industry over the course of a lifetime to support this upskill process, and how policy, private sector, and academia can come together to the same understanding within this conversation. And I think the conversation timing is very much ripe at the moment, given, for example, what's currently happening in Ethiopia. The conversation starts from unemployed fresh graduates not being able to get opportunities, but does not need to end there. It needs to go forward towards moving the conversation to lifetime upskilling. That means that we are going to continue to live in this uncertain and changing world where we have to go back to school once a year, every half a year, and what universities and academic institutions can do for that process.
Okay, thank you. So moving, you'd like to add?
Yeah, in terms of human resources and innovations, the first thing that comes to my mind is solutions that come across without the user perspective in mind. And what you have there is a challenge in literacy, especially in our solution. What we saw with delivering our extension service to the farmers is most of them didn't know how to navigate an application. And but their kids do. The same way, you might have a challenge with your phone and you give it to your kid to solve. It works the same way in rural areas as well. They might not have access to smartphones or phones, but their friends do, or they know people who do. So I think a hand-holding process is essential. I think that when it comes to delivering solutions, we should keep in mind the extent of rural areas in Ethiopia. I think we need to deliver an on-ground, on-field support where you host capacity building sessions and you're able to empower these people to use these solutions, or else there's going to be a par between what you deliver and what's used.
Actually, the human element is the core of any infrastructure, so it shouldn't be neglected in any of the discussion, even though that we're now discussing the infrastructure issue at large, but there are a number of issues that needs to be addressed in terms of decolonizing also the infrastructure itself. So that's a long discussion that has to be conducted in another panel. But let's move on to the scaling strategy. What are some of the biggest challenges your organization faces when implementing digital transformation at a larger scale? How are you going to address, or how are you addressing those problems? Maybe Binyam can start.
Yeah, so in the health sector, as we all know, health is very expensive. So one of the challenges is cost. So if we want to implement an AI integrated diagnostics, it really costs a lot. So in the Western countries, they are using those technologies, but when we relate it to our country, it's very much expensive. So some of the costs, and also like interoperability. So there are different systems, especially regarding to the electronic health record, the EMR. There are different multiple systems that are implemented in the country. But the challenge is how to work together with these systems. So having the core data, the patient data, is really hard. And then the main challenge is the workforce training. So we need the healthcare workforce to be digitally literate, because most of the digital solutions, they have to go through the doctors and the nurses and things on the healthcare professionals. So on that aspect, we need to invest a lot on health workforce improvement. So I think there are different strategies that are being implemented now to empower those health workforce, healthcare professionals. So those are the main challenges, because most of the senior doctors and things like the senior physicians, they don't want to implement this digital transformation. So if you make them digitally literate and user-friendly, as my colleague says, we can tackle those challenges so that the real effect of the digital transformation will be seen. So those are the three main challenges.
Maybe Elfagid.
Thank you. As Mastercard, I can feel the challenge in this regard, right? Especially, there are a lot of challenges that currently we are facing in the market, right, to implement digital strategy, or to roll out an appropriate digital strategy, for financial institutions, be it for financial institutions or fintechs or any other stakeholder players. One is the infrastructure deficiency. This is a very quite challenge in the market, the mobile network, the internet network in the market, especially when you go out of the city. This is very clearly seen a challenge. That's why we implement technology source solutions that works offline, that I mentioned earlier, like Farm Pass or Wellness Pass. These are technologies that can work offline. So infrastructure is one challenge that I can mention. The other is access to affordable digital technologies. This is also a challenge from a Mastercard perspective as well, because there is a perception that scheme business is very expensive, right? This is because banks don't have the capacity, to pay for the technologies or for the various, network-related fees, right, related to the technology. So in this regard, we are trying our best to co-invest, right, with the banks, so that we can provide them funding support, right, to implement some of the technologies. So access to affordable digital technologies is one of the challenges that we are observing currently in the market. The other one is skill gap, right? It was mentioned earlier. The skill gap is one issue that we are facing. We have the technology. If there is no skill, it's just like shooting, a moving target, right? So we need to bring the right skills, right? To properly utilize those technologies. In this regard, Mastercard is providing various trainings to our customers, right? Our clients in this regard. We have different programs like the Start Pass programs, the Mastercard, financial inclusion programs, right, to capacitate the skill gap of our customers. The other one is advisory service. Mastercard have a strong consulting service, which can provide end-to-end consulting service for every technology that they are implementing. So we're trying to provide this consulting service to the banks to address such kind of skill gap. So skill gap is one area challenge that I can mention. The other is the financial constraint. We are scheme business, we are international business. In order to deploy our solutions to our customers, we need payment, right? Usually in USD, in US dollars. So bank, there is a USD foreign currency scarce in this market. So there is quite a shortage of foreign currency, and banks are unable to afford these technologies. What we do is, as I tried to mention earlier again, we have an investment model, a win-win investment model. Banks will commit certain KPIs, and Mastercard will invest to the banks so that we can cover the costs related to the infrastructure or the technologies. These are the major challenges that we are facing in the market currently from challenge perspective. Thanks.
What is your challenge?
I would like to reiterate what Elfagid and Binyam said about digital literacy and, of course, the upskilling of the workforce. But in terms of moving digital transformation forward, one of the major challenges that we see when we deal with a lot of our clients and their users and customers is this necessary mindset shift that needs to take place for digital transformation to happen. And I'd like to maybe illustrate this with an example, with an experience that I recently had while trying to obtain my national ID through our national ID system. So like any user nowadays who tries to register and try to obtain their national ID, I did a pre-registration on the national ID website. That led me to the nearest center where we had to pick up, where I had to provide further biometric and bioinformation. And then the card arrived a few days later digitally online. And then there was a service where I had to pick up the card physically. Now, in the olden days where you'd have to go to your commune and try to pick up your Belay ID, which is the lowest administrative commune here, which we have in Ethiopia, and then many other countries you have that as well. All of these processes would have taken place in a single location and completed by a single provider. Now, pre-registration took place online in a virtual space. eKYC took place, in my case, at a bank. Then the digital ID arrived on a telecom operated line. I paid for the physical card on a mobile money service, and I picked up the physical card from a post office. So imagine how the process of obtaining a national ID was transformed from a function of a local commune distributed across different service providers, which provided inputs to the different services. So in terms of moving then the digital transformation agenda forward, it means then that we have to be ready to accept that all medical services, for example, in health, are not likely to take place in a hospital. All financial services may not take place in a bank. All courier delivery services may not take place at the post office. They may be done by other providers who may need to adopt their mindset, their business models, their processes to be able to deliver these services in a better way that traditional providers may not provide it. So that whole mindset shift that needs to take place within providers, within ecosystems, and within countries is probably the next big domino to fall in the digital transformation journey.
Okay. Just add to that. I just want to say it's an excellent point. You know, there's different stakeholders in whatever digital solution you want to provide, and involving them is essential to speeding up scaling that solution. And what he just mentioned is a very, very key point. I think if different players work together, they're able to deliver what it is they want to deliver. And it's not to say that they can't get a benefit from it, because everything has a cost. So it's all about, I can eat my piece of the pie, you eat your piece of the pie, and we work together to deliver something which is wholesome. So I just wanted to say that was an excellent point. Thank you.
Maybe I would like to add on mindset shifting, right? It's a very critical one. Thank you for mentioning that one. So, you know, with that, because I want to raise about, you know, cybersecurity threat, right, in Ethiopia. That's one of the challenges, you know, that I missed to mention earlier. So, now Ethiopian economy is opening up. Now banks are now joining, you know, the international world. So cybersecurity is, you know, a very threat for the banks or for the financial institution in the market. But when it comes to mindset, right, you know, banks are not willing to invest in cybersecurity, right? But when they get the threats, when they get, you know, the fraud or the attack, they may lose millions of dollars, right? So one of the challenges that we are facing currently is, you know, lack of mindset, especially investing, you know, cyber security, because it's quite a challenge for financial institution in Ethiopia.
Okay, some of the points maybe have another panel tomorrow, perhaps. Access to affordable technology. Some of the issues may be discussed tomorrow. The most important thing that you mentioned is the digital literacy. This is also part of the academia that somehow need to be addressed in terms of, for example, those who have higher education, like such as the medical students has to get that in terms of skill gap, financial. There are many other points that you mentioned, but now in terms of emerging technology, as we look toward the future, emerging technology like generative AI, in terms of if you go to the AI, and Elfagid also mentioned cybersecurity, blockchain technologies. These are becoming increasingly significant. What new approach do you think will be necessary to integrate such technology within your operation across all sectors? Maybe Shadai can start on that.
There is a big scope of quick wins and also strategic advantages that can be gained by integrating AI in digital transformation processes. This is not to invoke nightmares of people who may feel that their jobs are going to be lost to AI. That the likelihood of that happening in many parts of the continent is not very far off, but is not likely with the way we are going on our digital transformation journey. However, it increasingly looks like people and organizations that are able to effectively integrate AI in their processes will move forward in terms of the key metrics that they want to achieve. This could be in terms of operational efficiency. It's the ease of taking certain processes online. And we saw how important that is during the COVID pandemic, and how organizations who are able to do that and stay nimble in the process were able to maybe not gain a lot of business during that time, but at least withstand the pressure of closing down their businesses. So in terms of the efficiencies that AI promises, there's a lot of scope within the customer service. There's a lot of scope within being able to provide certain services with the support and the enablement of AI. But very unlikely that replacement of jobs within our current digital transformation journey to happen within Africa. I'm very, in a way, positively skeptical on that one.
Maybe from the health perspective, it has been spoken quite frequently. So maybe if you have some.
Yes, so this new emerging technology on the generative AI is knocking so many jobs on the health sector, especially on the imaging and diagnostics. It's making a remarkable improvement on the Western countries. And here in Ethiopia also, I have been working, I have been to know some doctors who have been working to implement this AI using Ethiopian data so that it will be effective to pick some anomalies and things like that easily. So the health sector has been coming to use the AI more frequently. In our company, we have been working closely with the African to Silicon Valley. We have been working in two solutions, healthcare solutions. So one of them being adult, I hope you know it. So it will help the pregnant mothers to know what to expect when they are having the process of having the child. So there is an AI chatbot included on the application so that the mother will ask anything and it will give them some personalized information regarding the health of the baby and what to do regarding to the pregnancy, the medication, the dose, things like that. So it's very important to use this new technologies regarding to the AI. And also in the Western countries, the VR and augmented reality and the virtual reality, they have been making some noises, especially in the training aspects, so that it will give a more detailed approach, especially in the anatomy and things like that. We can see the human skeleton, the heart, everything in 3D model. So the VR, the AR, the wearable devices, they're advancing at a much higher rate. So I think we have to work very much to incorporate these new technologies to Ethiopia as well.
If I could mention cyber threats, how would you integrate to such operation towards financial sector?
Yeah, we have cybersecurity solutions so far that we are providing to the market or to various, especially for financial institutions, so that they can protect their customers from any fraud attacks. In various areas, for example, if you come to the e-commerce, we have also cybersecurity solutions. From the card issuing perspective, we have real-time and near-real-time cybersecurity solutions that we are providing to the market. So for every technology that we provide to the market or to our customers, there is cybersecurity solutions that we provide to the customers so that they can transact safe. They can have their customers can have safe transactions free from any kind of threat going forward. So that's why I tried to mention earlier, right? There is always kind of reluctance not to implement such kind of technologies when the technologies roll out. So that is a challenge we are facing currently in the market. But we have all the appropriate cybersecurity solutions for our customers for every product or solutions that we are rolling out in the market. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, before for our final question, before we open up the floor to the audience, Actually, I would like each of you to consider the policymaker in the attendance. So what specific recommendation would you offer them to accelerate the digital transformation? Maybe I can start with.
Yeah, so, and I hope I'm not biased, but the bulk of innovations originate from private sector. And I don't think there's an argument there. But the fact that it originates from private sector means we need to encourage private sector. I think in the last panel, there were discussions around merging private sector and public sector, the government, on regulations, on policies, in order to facilitate the ease of entry. And that's an essential element to this whole sphere. I do feel as though private sector also needs to play a role in recommending certain regulations. One of the challenges we faced in our solution was the acquisition of a USSD line. We were told that you needed a letter of support from various agricultural ministries, from the telecom. And if you look at other countries, I mean, a USSD line is pretty easy to acquire. But I also understand the perspective of the government. Misinformation, being considerate towards what their position is. But I feel as though, and there was a mention of the AU being involved in this and them leading or them having the forefront in this. And I agree with that as well. I feel as though private sector, development agencies, and the government should both sit together and initiate some sort of collaboration on the revision of existing regulations, because we need to evolve, we need to move in the ways that are present to us, and certain things need to change, and we need to be open to them. Thank you.
Maybe you else today.
I relay back to the opening speech of Minister Belay early in the morning when he very carefully and very well summarized the set of initiatives that are currently taking place. So one of the highlights of that speech was the announcement of the formation of the National Digital Transformation Council, headed at the very top level by the Deputy Prime Minister. And in terms of putting political support into a national priority, that's very much a very good way to go. Now, on the next layer of where we need to move forward as a country, if we can remove or at least reduce half of the regulatory misalignment that we have in this environment where we have a cross-regulatory movement that needs to take place, I think we'll be very well set off as a country. And what that means is while ministries and government agencies are able to implement their own KPIs separately, the need to collaborate, both at policy-making level, but also at expert level in the different ministries and agencies is now becoming very critical. And for private sector to not give up maybe engaging government in that process, to make those processes more efficient, those processes more aligned towards the bigger goal, which is Digital Ethiopia 2025, becomes very critical. And in that whole discussion, the people element becomes, again, very important, where private sector and public sector tend to collaborate well is if there are a clear set of guidelines and KPIs around excellence of service. If we agree that excellence of service and the KPI set around that are important, then I think the room to collaborate becomes very, very easier to do. And the reduction of this regulatory misalignment and kind of a haphazard understanding of where we are in terms of priorities becomes very important. I think with the way things are going, it's reasonable to expect that by the time 2025 arrives and we will have to take stock of the 5 years where this journey has taken us, we will have noticed that we have done very well on connectivity. but we maybe have underestimated how fast the connectivity numbers have moved in Ethiopia. At the moment, we are, I think, around 2,500 new mobile data subscriptions per day, and we are at 20,000 new SIM cards sold a day in Ethiopia. And I think that rate is expected to continue. I hope policymakers can move with the urgency and collaborate with the necessary agility to match the expectations of these users and the citizens that are being identified behind them.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to the policy recommendation, I think usually, there are a lot of things that the government needs to do, I think, from my perspectives, from Mastercard perspectives. Let me give you an example. For example, in the card payment scenario, out of the total transaction, we have no card payment at merchant location is only 1%. The ratio of card payment at merchant location with card is only 1%, right? Most of the transactions are either cash or ATM transactions. So I think in order to encourage digitization, for example, the government should take some policy measures like incentivizing the merchants, right? If a merchant accepts payment using card, why not the government put a kind of incentive for the merchant, like return some part of their taxes. That's one kind of thing that I can see. And we also should encourage cardholders or consumers, right, to pay using card, right? There should be enforcing mechanisms that customers should pay using card, like what you did with fuel payment currently, right? There should be some kind of informed mechanisms, right, to encourage the digital economy, right? So unless and otherwise there is a policy support from the government, it will take a long period of time to digitize the economy. That's one area that the government should involve, I think, from my perspective. The other is on enhancing digital infrastructure. As you know, we have a gap in digital infrastructure. So in this regard, the government should work, right, to reach out to the unbanked or to the last miles, in digitizing the last miles, right, through enhancing the infrastructure, especially the telecom infrastructure. That's one area that the government should consider. The other one, maybe I can mention as regarding promoting digital literacy. I think, again, here, the government can have a big role in this regard, right? The government can encourage bankers or ecosystem players to invest, sizable amount of money in the digital literacy area. But there is no restriction or there is no kind of policy in this regard so far. So this is an area that can be also considered by the government. As I tried to mention earlier, government also should promote, right, the cross-border collaborations, right, especially with foreign companies, right? This should be encouraged. Policy measures should be taken, right, which encourage foreign bankers or to encourage your foreign institutions to come to Ethiopia and invest and share their experience, right? This is also one area that the government should consider going forward. I think so that Ethiopia can be at a pace, right, at equal pace, right, with the rest of the world. So banks in other countries like in Europe or in Africa, right, should bring their experience, should bring their technology in Ethiopia, so that everybody can be benefited from the latest technologies or like the latest banking technologies. Yeah, thank you.
Specific recommendations from health perspective?
Yeah, so I strongly agree on what they all said, but for the policymakers, I think they need to focus on the people and infrastructure, especially on the digital infrastructure. As I've said earlier, health is costly, so the policymakers need to invest on the digital infrastructure, especially on the bigger investments like the CT scans, the ultrasounds, and everything regarding to that. And then the other thing is they have to prioritize the workforce training. So the health workforce needs to be trained, digital literate, so that to implement the digital infrastructure, it will be easier. And then they have to also support the local innovations, especially in Ethiopia. There is multiple problems regarding in the healthcare facility. So we never know when the next greatest innovation will come, so that we have to support the local innovations. And they all have said it, they have to partner with the private institutions. So the public, the government have to work closely with the private institutions to have a better impact on the healthcare service moving forward. So these are my recommendations for the policymakers.
Okay, thank you for those insights. Now let's open up the floor to questions from the audience. I think
we have time to squeeze in one question. I have a question, but I'd rather take a question from the audience. Anyone want to ask a panel a question? This is a very important one, which is why we gave a full hour to this panel. If not, I've got a question for you guys. You all mentioned cross-sector collaboration, cross-border collaboration. How about cross-generation collaboration in each of your sectors? There's a whole wealth of knowledge in the elder generation of doctors, farmers, bankers, educators, and so on. So how do you bridge that gap? You know, you're going to lose a lot of knowledge unless you use digital to bridge that gap. So any comments, reactions?
A lot of expert knowledge in the older generations. I think a lot of innovative knowledge in the younger generations. So you're right, how do we bridge these two? I do feel as though, especially with startups, with members of businesses who are in the younger aspect, their recommendations are not really listened to or acknowledged for that matter, unless they go off on their own. So we're looking at basically acknowledging people with innovative solutions in whatever sector, and then backing those solutions with expert knowledge. So for example, in agriculture, someone might come up with an application but doesn't know the relevant knowledge to be on that application. Then you source that knowledge from the expert in the field. So with whatever solution you're trying to deliver, there will be an expert who has the information, and there will be an innovator who can come up with the medium for the transfer of that knowledge. I hope that answers your question.